So, Mr. Gallego, you've had a really interesting speech today at Silicon Mountains Tech Summit. Can you tell us what it was about?
Absolutely. First of all, it's a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to present here today. And it was about the journey from cybersecurity to cyber resiliency. I mean, don't get me wrong, security is fundamental. Protecting, defending, identifying threats, that's critical for any society. And we, the world, we have been doing it for decades. However, in a troubled world, in a world of, unfortunately, war, in a world of cyber criminals going back and forth all of the time, I think that the dictionary helps us in a very good way, because resiliency is the capacity to endure, the capacity to resist. So there are 4 verbs, and I mentioned that in the session today, that are fundamental. So again, not just identifying, protecting, defending, but anticipating to threats. So knowing threats before they happen, before they actually realize. Also withstanding, resisting, taking into account that cyber criminals and attackers and nation states, they will try to violate our companies and our society. Resisting, enduring, that's very important, withstanding. Also, of course, responding to threats, responding in a good way, going back to normal. And then the 4th verb of the resiliency or cyber resiliency definition is about evolving to the next stage, with the lessons learned, with the next iteration, and knowing that we are robust and solid, or at least more robust and more solid than before the attack.
So cyber resiliency, that's exactly what your company does, right?
Absolutely,
CyberRest.
absolutely. CyberRest, which is a micro-focused line of business. We are a software provider. We are here in Armenia with some of our partners, especially Unicom, which is a local partner. We love them. Thank you for being with us. But CyberRest provides software solutions in the cyber resiliency arena, or cyber security, if you will. But the most important thing is the holistic view. And I mentioned that in my session just a few minutes ago, which is protecting identities, data, and applications. Not just one vector. Identities, who has access to what, ensuring that the right people has the right access, but also going into data, protecting data, encrypting data, tokenizing data, discovering data, and last but not least, hardening, fortifying applications. So I mentioned that in my session today. I think that there is not only one vector that you need to protect, but the 3 most important vectors of a company: identities, people, citizens, if you will, data, and then applications in the cloud and on-premise. That was the idea, and this is what CyberRest, a micro-focused line of business, does. And again, with Unicom here in Armenia, we are super happy.
How exactly do you do that, if it's okay to ask about that?
Sure. And in terms of delivering the solutions, or how? Yeah, I mean, of course, the first thing anyone should do in any relationship, even personal relations, and of course commercial relations, we feel that it's about asking the right questions to the right people at the right time. Let me explain. If you have a problem, if society has a problem, if the country has a problem, or any company has a problem, then we need to understand and to assess and to actually comprehend at the core what's the problem. And listen, the problem may be at the network, or they maybe have problems with data or in the cloud. So what we have to do is understand the problem, and then with our fantastic portfolio of solutions, go into identities, data, and applications, and start applying technology solutions, products, and services in order to enhance and in order to strengthen the security position. At the end of the day, what we do, and I think that what this whole conference is about hardening and making sure that the security posture of the country, the company, banks, financial institutions, healthcare institutions, society at large, that we are better than before, that we are more robust and solid in terms of a security exposure or a risk exposure being minimized. We reduce, we mitigate the risk exposure.
What kind of companies are usually interested in this kind of services?
I mean, let me answer in a generic way. All of the companies are challenged with cybersecurity or cyber, all of them, of all of the sizes, in all of the geographies. This is not just the problem of Armenia or this region. Around the planet, I travel around the world extensively and intensively, and every customer, every organization is challenged. The question is how well prepared they are in order to answer those questions that I was mentioning, right? But any company, any size, of course, the bigger the company, the bigger the challenge, I mean, with different scenarios, they have network, they have storage, they have IoT devices, they have, everything, a universe of things, different platforms, different environments. But the bigger the company, the bigger the challenge. But any company, even small and medium businesses, they need robust and solid approach to cybersecurity and to risk governance.
Artificial intelligence and machine learning
Absolutely.
are really like trendy today. And do you use these technologies in providing cyber resilience?
Absolutely, and as I mentioned on the session today, I mean, the use of machine learning, there are 4 types of machine learning. The one we use and the one I mentioned today on stage is unsupervised machine learning. Let me explain. Because unsupervised machine learning, and I think it's magical, because it learns from observation. It learns, the algorithm learns from actually checking the realities of what is happening in the network, in the corporation. I mean, supervised machine learning, I mean, you need to train the algorithm, you need to have templates, etc. But unsupervised machine learning is fantastic for fraud detection. I mentioned it in my session. It's fantastic for anything related to detecting abnormal behavior, things that are not normal in the corporation. Let's say that it's strange that Ramsés Gallego is accessing at 3 a.m. in the morning human resources data from Singapore. That's quite strange. Ramsés has never done that. So the algorithm at least should be able to raise a flag to tell human resources and my manager and the corporation and the company at large, listen, there may be something wrong with this sort of access, So unsupervised machine learning and leveraging good technologies as artificial intelligence for the greater good, I think that especially in many areas is important, but especially in cybersecurity, to amplify and expand the work of cyber analysts and cyber professionals, that's fundamental. So I mentioned that on stage, and thank you for the question, because I truly believe that one of the many futures of the industry is enhancing the capabilities of we humans, and especially people, young professionals and veterans like me, sitting on security operation centers, etc. Absolutely, absolutely.
Despite this cybersecurity thing is so important, many people still don't know what it is.
Okay.
So let's try to explain it in a simple way.
Okay. Well, cybersecurity is that discipline of protecting the confidentiality, the integrity and availability of data. That's simple. CIA, not the agency, but CIA, meaning confidentiality of data. You need to be sure that data is secret if you want it to be secret. The integrity of data, that data has not been tampered with, that is not modified. And last but not least, that data is available, especially in this cloud epoch that we are living, that I can have access to that information when I want, how I want it. And remember, back to one of my previous answers, identities, data, and applications, so that the right people has the right access to the right data at the right time. So cybersecurity is that discipline that makes sure that the C, the I, and the A, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, are there for a reason. Absolutely.
What kinds of cyber crimes are the most common nowadays?
Oh, that's a tough question, because unfortunately cyber criminals are not using one technique or 2 techniques or 3 techniques. But to the question, the most important one, because there's money behind it, is ransomware attacks. I'm still amazed as a cybersecurity professional how still we know about ransomware and how they try to encrypt the data and ask money. They ask a ransom for that. So we know basically everything about ransomware, how it works, and still how many companies suffer that every single day. So unfortunately, ransomware is one of those things that still happen and will keep happening, unfortunately. But again, why? Because I used to say in my sessions that, there was a point in time in history that cyber crime or hackers, they tried to show that they were capable of hacking things. So just for the technical sake of it. Right now, it's about money. Money, money, money. So it's about, I get your data and you will pay in order to give it for you to have it back, right? So ransomware attacks are super important, unfortunately, these days. Phishing, anything that is related to tricking someone into clicking in a website or clicking in an email in order to get money. At the end of the day, phishing is about that. And then, of course, in this very difficult world, geopolitical interests, nations against nations and etc. But basically, unfortunately, groups of people, organizations of people sitting thousands of kilometers away. That's one thing with cybersecurity that we don't know how to fight. I mean, someone in Spain, in Singapore, in Egypt, in Chicago, Illinois, at 3 clicks of distance, you can be hacked. And by the way, how do you prosecute that with the law? You can't. International law does not protect you from someone sitting in a basement in Hong Kong. You can't. How do you prosecute that from a legal point of view? So it is important to understand that cyber criminals will not stop. Cyber criminals, they have different tactics and techniques, but to the question, ransomware, phishing, email phishing, business email compromising the email of a business, tricking someone as if you are the CEO or the CTO, or, those things still happen, unfortunately, and will keep happening.
What should we do about this? Maybe we need some kind of, I don't know, international law or something?
Thanks for the question, but that's very optimistic. I mean, take into account that we the world, we don't agree on weapons treaties. We don't agree on slavery. There are countries in this world that still have. So, with all due respect, and I understand the question, but it's a very romantic question that will we ever agree on an international cybersecurity? I'm sorry, no, we will not. Because there are many interests. It's going to be super difficult. There are countries in this world, and I'm not going to mention any, but they don't have any interest of doing that. So I'm sorry, I understand the question, but the answer is no, because we don't agree on the most basic things, there's a war running, so we don't agree on the most basic human rights, and are we going to agree on a cybersecurity super cool law? I'm sorry, but the answer is no.
So there is totally nothing we can do about this?
At the international level, no. There's of course the willingness of European Union, and then the treaties with the US shield and protection and privacy, but again, still organizations, full companies dedicated to cybercrime with millions and billions, with a B, of dollars of revenue. It's a business, so they will not stop. And the only thing we can do, and I celebrate being back in Armenia and my session today, is doing things like this. Like not only this interview that I appreciate, but the session, and another event, and another gathering, and trusting the local people, the partners that I mentioned, in my case Unicom, but also my friends at the Central Bank of Armenia, the things that they are doing with young professionals and nurturing the right people in the region. That's fantastic. I celebrate it, right? But that's the only thing that we can do. Cyber criminals will not stop. The message that we need to send is we will not stop either. We're the good guys. Government, society, okay, you will not stop. We will not stop. I will do that.
Did this coronavirus crisis affect the cyber crimes in any way?
Well, yes, because unfortunately, COVID-19, as bad as it has been all over the planet, with confinements and lockdowns and people working remotely, not anymore, or at least it looks like worldwide that we are going back to some sort of normality, people going back to the office 2 or 3 times per day. But at the hard times of coronavirus, not from a health perspective, that it has been terrible, of course, and tragedy and all of the lives that have been lost, unfortunately, but cyber criminals have used the unpreparedness of society to be working from home, for having not robust connections, not enough good devices and protected devices. Your tablet, my PC, my Macintosh sitting at home. So cyber criminals took that opportunity as a weakness of society. We were not prepared for COVID, of course, but we were not prepared for the digital version of COVID and the implications of being at home for months and working from home and connecting to critical data from unsafe devices. So the answer is yes, and cyber criminals certainly have took that opportunity.
But are we more prepared today?
I think so. Of course there's room for improvement, but I honestly think that we are better prepared because, again, with events like this one, with Silicon Mountains and others around the world, with interviews, blogs, articles, I think that the consciousness of the people is important. So yes, we are better prepared. There's room for improvement, but yes, we are better prepared.
So are you familiar with the level of cybersecurity here in Armenia?
Well, yes, of course. I've been here and it's a pleasure to be back. I've been here in Armenia many times. I have been told about the initiatives of the country Again, my friends at Central Bank of Armenia, I massively celebrate the initiatives that they have and the aspiration, let's see if they can make it, but I'm sure they will, but of creating a center of excellence, not just for the country, but in the region. You know, I mean, for the region at large. So absolutely, I understand that. I absolutely celebrate, and I have had the opportunity during my travels here in Armenia to meet very good young professionals. I mean, the talent from, again, I'm a veteran, I guess, but young people is fantastic. I mean, the energy and the willingness of protecting and defending from again, not only veterans in the States, but young professionals is fantastic. So, and again, as an extensive and intensive traveler of the world, Armenia is well prepared. There's room for improvement. Always there's room for improvement. But the initiatives that I have seen, you know, the promoting cybersecurity and a consciousness of protecting data, protecting citizens, protecting society, I certainly celebrate it and I applaud it. Absolutely, Armenia is well prepared. Always there's room for improvement. Why? Because cyber criminals will not stop. Again, they will try, we will protect. They will try and we will protect. And that's the cyber resiliency thing that I was telling you at the beginning. Resisting, withstanding and enduring, right?
But doesn't that mean that we are always one step behind the criminals?
In a way, yes, but it is what it is. I mean, not always. I mean, I have to admit that there is fantastic technology around, and not because I am from CyberRest, but there's fantastic technology from many providers, that they have not only detective controls, but preventative controls. So you can, and again, the definition of cyber resiliency, remember the first verb, anticipate. Anticipate means before it happens. There's an old saying that goes, the moment to help is before it happens. If you want to really help me, it's before I'm in trouble. When I'm in trouble, I appreciate the help. But before I'm in trouble, so with preventative actions, with threat intelligence, you know, there's fantastic technology around, and I talked about that in my session, by the way, that is called, you know, the Maitre attack framework, which is a framework that actually tells you the tactics, the techniques, and the common knowledge that cyber criminals use to hack us. Wait a second, because then the book of attack has been written. The book of attack has already been written. I know with a high degree of certainty how they try to attack us. So yes, we are always, not always, but nearly always one step behind, because in the game of war, I mean, one attacks and one defends, and then the other one attacks and defends. But I think that with as I said before, with a robust and solid security posture, the right technology, the right people, the right processes, and the right support from government and institutions and the country at large, I think that the equation can be solved, or at least get at a balance. You attack me, okay, don't worry, my castle is strong enough. I have built a castle so high that, of course, you will try, but you will fail. That's the message that we should be sending. You can try as a cyber criminal from Spain, from Egypt, from Singapore, from China, from Russia, from Chicago, Illinois. You can try, you will fail, because my castle is super robust. That's the message.
By the way, prevention is always the key, not in this sphere only, but in all the other spheres.
Absolutely. Preventing. And this is why I'm telling you that observation of the landscape and machine learning, as we were talking before, you know, the algorithm telling us what may happen, seeing patterns of behavior that minutes before the attack, the algorithm can tell you, hey, Ramsés, there's something smelling wrong here. I mean, you might be under an attack because this, and this. You make a guess, you know, but by using the right technology, prevention is absolutely the key. And if it happens, and something happens, then detection, protection, and, you know, and the rest of the game. But prevention and anticipating threats, as I was saying, of the definition of resiliency, that's absolutely the name of the game.
Perhaps the last question for today. In your opinion, what can we do to raise the level of cybersecurity here in Armenia?
I always say, and probably that's my most romantic answer, an optimistic answer, but let the people know. Go to the schools at an early age and let them know. Go to companies and let them know. Create events like this one, or the job that you do at NEWS. I mean, let the people know that we are not in an easy world, that there are companies, organizations, and nation states interested in us. Us meaning you as an individual, me as an individual, as the country, as organizations, and so there are people who have an interest in that they don't need to attack us physically, but click, 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 click at 3 clicks of distance. So my answer should be, my short answer for you should be communication. Look into people's eyes and let them know what's at stake. Let them know what will happen if we don't behave correctly. Let them know what will happen if we don't encrypt information. Let them know what will happen. You know, so again, it's a game, a sad game, but they will try, we will persist. They will try, we will endure. So communicate with people at all of the levels. Families, fathers, mothers, schools, hospitals, of course finance, insurance. Let the world know that we are in a troubled world, and as a consequence, we need to reduce the security posture. So the risk mitigation, the risk exposure, we need to mitigate it. Communication, I think it's key.
Who exactly should do this?
Well, many parties. Of course, as a citizen, I have to say, I'm expecting my government to do some part of it. But I work in a vendor, so I'm expecting to do my part. Yes, I sell technology, you know, and I speak on as I did today, right? But communicate, so I take my part as a private company. But the government should do its company. So the thing, you, the media, you have, excuse me, but a responsibility, at least of telling the people, like in this interview, what is happening. You know, so every party should do its role. I would say, yeah.
So when everybody does their jobs, we'll have some kind of improvement.
Exactly. Collectively, it's a teamwork. It's a teamwork. It's not one individual. It's not just the government. It's me raising my kids the right way. Letting them know, use technology, Instagram, Twitter, of course, but use it the right way. Post the right pictures. Think before you act. But that's me as a parent, and I have a responsibility, of course, educating my family. But then private companies, public companies, when we are at work, when you are at work, I mean, there's a responsibility of the company telling you, hey, listen, I mean, of course we do this news and we do this, but there's a responsibility of what to say, how to protect information, how to ensure that data is secure, the data of your providers, the bank. You know, when I think about the finance industry, they have a responsibility of not just keeping the little money I have, but to make me sure that my data is not going to be compromised. I'm expecting that from my bank, and from my hospital, and from my government, and from my, you know, so it's a teamwork, as you said, and collectively, and I'm very positive on this answer, is we have a work to do, and I think that we can do it. Why? Because the cyber criminals will not stop. The bad guys will not stop. With the good guys, we will not stop either.
Great. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. I enjoyed on my session. I enjoyed the interview. Thank you very much.